Today I'd like to show you how to make small and larger filler flower sprays. I'm using the medium small calyx cutters from the Grandiflora Rose set. Cut a length of 24 gauge wire into 3 and make an open hook at one end. Don't close the hook. If you do, it won't catch inside the flower. Knead the flower paste, to make a bud, roll a small ball of paste into a torpedo shape. Dip the hook into water. Some people prefer to use glue, but I use water. Push the hook into one end of the torpedo and roll between both index fingers to secure it to the wire. Roll the opposite end to slim the shape. Use a small pair of scissors to mark the top half of the paste without cutting through. Turn and repeat. And twist so it looks as though the bud is about to open, and tidy around the base. Use an old dummy or block of Oasis to stand them in to dry, and you will need 3 for each spray. For the flowers, roll a small piece of flower paste into a ball. Dip a 24 gauge hooked wire into water and insert the hook into the ball. Press around the base to secure the wire. Press the small end of the bone tool into the paste and press the paste against it, turning and pressing to hollow out the centre. And place to one side. Take a small piece of flower paste, rub a little shortening onto your board and roll out the paste. Grease the calyx cutter and place onto the paste and press firmly. Always remove the cutter before taking away the surplus paste from around the edge. Place the flower onto a sponge pad and use the heel of the small end of a bone tool to widen the petals. Place it onto the centre of the petal, press and stretch the paste first one way, then the other. Moisten the centre of the hollow and place the flower on top. Press the centre with the large end of the bone tool. Bend the wire for stability and place the flower onto a sponge former to dry. For the spray, you'll need 3 flowers. Use a number 10 brush and work a little lime green dust colour into the bristles. Dust the centre of the flower and also around the base. Wipe away excess colour on a piece of kitchen paper. Dust a little lime green around the base of the bud. Fold a piece of florist tape in half and half again and cut along, making half the width. take a piece of the tape and stretch it to release the gum. Take a bud and place the tape a little way down the wire at an angle and roll firmly between your finger and thumb to secure it. Then place a second bud slightly lower than the first and secure it with the tape, and place the third bud slightly lower again than the second and tape it in. Place a flower at the base of the buds and tape it in. And then add one to the left and tape it. And lastly, one between the two. Break the tape away and reattach it close to the flowers and tape all the way down to the end of the wires. Lift the flowers by pressing the centre with your finger and pulling the wire back. You can use tweezers to bend the wires and buds if you prefer. This little spray can be added to the ends of larger arrangements or between large flowers to fill in gaps. So now I'm moving on to a larger spray using the medium-sized calyx cutter. For the buds, use a slightly larger piece of paste than for the smaller spray. Roll into a ball, then into a torpedo shape. Still using the 24 gauge wire, dip the hooked end into water and insert it into one end of the torpedo. Roll at the base to make a neat contact with the wire. Roll the top to slim down the shape and use the scissors to mark across the top. And twist. To make a calyx, turn the bud over and lay the scissors onto the paste about halfway down the bud. Squeeze the blades together to make an imprint, but do not cut through. Repeat around the bud, making 5 sections. Place it onto the block to dry. Again, you will need 3 for the spray. To make the flower, roll a large ball of paste into a cone. And begin to pinch around the top. This is called a Mexican hat, and you can see why. Rub a little shortening onto the board and place the hat down onto the board. Use a chubby handle from the paintbrush to roll the paste away from the base of the hat. It is important that the paintbrush handle is close as possible to the base, otherwise the petals will be too thick. Roll until the edge is nice and thin. Check for size and then grease the cutter and place it over the paste. Press firmly, then remove the cutter and surplus paste. Use a small palette knife to lift the flower if it won't release easily. Dip a hooked wire into water and push the wire through the paste so the hook catches about halfway down. This must feel firmly in position. Place the large end of the bone tool onto the centre of the flower and press the base of each petal onto it. This will create a hollow centre. Coax the petals forward and place the flower onto a sponge pad. Place the small end of the bone tool onto the centre of a petal and stretch first one way and then the opposite side. Continue on all 5 petals. Use a textured frilling stick to roll across the petals to create a light veining. And press the centre again to keep the shape. Holding the flower upside down, cut a calyx so each of the 5 cuts are in line with a petal on the flower. Place the flower back onto the sponge pad and press the back of each petal, stroking the petal from the midway along to the base. And press the centre again if necessary, then place the flower upside down on a former to dry. Dust lime green dust colour around the base of the buds. And pink onto the tip. Brush green around the base of the flower. And a little in the centre. Brush pink around the edges of the petals from the outer edge towards the centre. Mix alcohol and a darker green and use a number 3 paintbrush to paint the calyx. Also paint the calyx on the bud. Pipe a little royal icing into the centre and drop in 5 sugar pearls, or more if they are small. Use a food colouring pen to touch dots onto the petals. Again, using half width tape, tape the spray together the same way as for the smaller spray, in the order of 3 buds and 3 flowers. Remember, you can always break the tape away and begin again higher up the wires. I have already taped a spray to a large rose and leaves, and I will show you how to make these on another tutorial. To add the sprays made today, use full width tape and attach the tape onto a set of 3 leaves. Tape in the pink spray, work over a piece of sponge so if you should drop a flower, it's less likely to break. I've already attached a spray to one side of the main rose, and so now I'm going to attach the second spray to the opposite side, and I'm still using full width tape. Bend the stem of the white spray before taping it into the main spray. You can add extra leaves to fill in any spaces.